All right, what's going on there, folks? Good evening. It is the Earthmaster here on the live stream on this Saturday evening, January 29th, 2022, about 8:10 p.m. California time, and the latest quake out there on the Earthquake 3D globe. One of my favorite numbers at 3.3, way up here in the Alaska region. You can see that earthquake there on the globe. Don't see too much earthquake activity up there all too often, but we're looking at 2.5 and a 2.3 earthquake within the last 24 hours kicking up there in the northern Alaska range. Let's go ahead and check out that activity occurring a little bit more closer in detail up here on the USGS map. Looks like it's around the Brooks Range area, the mountain range up here, northern Alaska. Definitely see some plate dynamic earthquake activity up here over time, although we don't see it too often. But activity kind of stretching up here a little bit into the lower 3 magnitude, 3.3 at 14.2 kilometers below the surface. There was a 2.5, looks like way earlier this morning within that same region, just south a little bit, about 25 miles or so of the region of northern Alaska. Still watching a swarm of movement here along the Aleutian Trench, right around the area where that 6-pointer struck here within that region. Let's go ahead and see if I can find the 6-pointer that struck in that area. Well, let's go back 30 days here. This may overdo it, but we've seen definitely, actually this activity here is to the east of that 6-pointer. So the 6-pointer struck here just about 100 or so miles to the west of the current activity that we're seeing. We're watching a pretty good movement of activity working its way to the east, working its way to the east here along the Aleutian Trench with this current swarming activity. Nothing significant, but definitely a 35-kilometer deep earthquake into the subduction zone of the Aleutian Trench. And it's just kind of something to watch pretty closely. This is a major player here in accumulated stress along the plate boundary here of the North American and Pacific plate. And of course, we all know the volcanic activity that can occur within the Aleutian Trench. Looking at areas to the west here, remains relatively quiet here along the Japan Trench and the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench. Philippine plate looks pretty quiet as well. We did have one earthquake here west of the Philippines area, 5.2. Looks like a pretty shallow earthquake here around the South China Sea at 10 kilometers, and some further movement down south here of the Philippines into the Indonesia area, with a little bit of activity occurring here in the 4 and 5 range. Kermadec Trench, this has been a pretty hot spot of activity recently. Of course, the Tonga activity up north, looking at quite a few 4s and 5s kicking off here within the last 24 hours. No significant dynamic activity here outside of this movement here along the Kermadec Trench. A lot of times we look for unusual activity occurring outside of the swarming activity, but just right now things kind of at a standstill when it comes to the earthquake activity there along the Kermadec Trench. We did see some further movement in the Tonga area with a 4.9 earthquake striking right around the Hunga Tonga volcano once again. So what are we looking at? Well, looking at about a couple miles or so just to the southwest of the region. So like I keep mentioning, I don't think this thing is over by a long shot. This here is a major player in volcanic activity, and our little 150-year of record keeping is just that. It's little, so we don't know the potential for full extent of potential here when it comes to the volcanic activity and the subsequent tsunami possibilities when it comes to that activity here along this trench. Something to watch pretty closely. What do we got here in the South America region? Things kind of upticking here a little bit. Quite a few 4s. The 4 is the magic number on the roulette board tonight. Quite a few 4s. 4.4 there in the three sequence here. Some deeper movement into the Peru-Chile Trench here with all these earthquakes here. You can see them kicking up. 198 kilometers there for that earthquake. Pretty shallow earthquake there to the east, but some further deep movement to the south into the Argentina area. Of course, the further earthquake activity we see inland, the built-up stress accumulates here along the subduction zone of the Pruccelli Trench. Don't you do it. I'm starting to lose my voice again. Seems like it never fails. Activity into the Venezuela area, too, kind of kicking up a little bit earlier today with a 5.1 near the Trinidad and the Tobago area. Pretty shallow earthquake within this region, the Port of Spain area. Of course, this area does see some pretty dynamic and large earthquakes within the region, but for now, a 5.1. Some activity in the Haiti area kicking up as well, seeing a 4.4. And the Puerto Rico region seeing some activity kick up in the middle 2 range. So what do we got going on out here in the Mid-Atlantic range? Pretty quiet. Look at the Mediterranean Sea and areas to the east, all very quiet. The Ethiopia area seeing a 4.4. We don't see too much activity out there. In the kind of like in the border areas of Kenya and the South Sudan area. 4.4 earthquake striking out there in that region. Ways away from major plate boundary, but you got to remember the stress accumulation out here inland that can happen and is happening, obviously, there in the African continent. What else we got? Let's go ahead and check out the states. Movement into the Oklahoma and the Kansas area. Beautiful Kansas. I don't know, man. Kansas out there, I think this might be a little sneak peek for the viewers. But this beautiful state out there is looking like a very prime target for a relocation area. I love Kansas. Absolutely love Kansas. So I've been wanting to get out of California for a very long time. It's got some beautiful scenery, but the weather in California, I'm going to be honest, it sucks. If you're a fair weather type of person, the state is for you. I'm not fair weather, so I love thunderstorms. I love activity in the skies above me. And California right now sucks, to be honest. We haven't seen a drop of rain in January, and this is our wettest month. So Kansas, X marks the spot. Oklahoma City southward, looking at a little bit of activity out around the Pauls Valley area. It looks like actually Chickasha and the Marlow area northward, getting in on some 2s and some 1s kicking off out there. I'm kind of scared to look at the activity. Although this activity, 22.8 kilometers for that 1.8. I kind of want to see what's going on out there. That's a pretty deep earthquake for this area. We don't normally see deep movement in this region. Of course, you know, it's I'm going to mention it again because there's quite a bit of it, is the injection oil pumping operations out there in the square. Square areas out here indicating the oil and pumping operations going on within this area of Oklahoma. And there's a massive amount of them, there's no doubt. And those are known to create earthquakes. That's been pretty much proven. But this 1.8 is kind of in a weird spot. Obvious pumping operations down here to the south, but it's hard to say exactly the it's an automatic status review. So this 22.8 kilometers, I don't know, it's kind of strange. We don't see deep activity out there in Oklahoma too often. So this may get revised once someone looks at it. They're from the USGS. So we'll move on from that activity in the Oklahoma area, which is also a, I don't know, secondary option there in relocation options here for yours truly, the Earthmaster and Missy Mimi's. Looking pretty highly likely pretty soon. I love that area. I love the Southern Plains. There's something about it. Something about east of the Rockies is beautiful. There's no doubt the West Coast, there's some beautiful scenery out here, but man, if you lived out here, cost of living is ridiculous. I mean, I'm paying almost $6 a gallon for a milk. Gas is, what are we paying for gas right now? About $4.30 for the regular. $4.30 for a regular, folks. Welcome to California. I'm ready to move on. It's time to make a change. So I need your guys' support. So help me make this move. It's happening. What else we got here? Eastern part of the country. We did see that earthquake out here in the Ohio area a little bit earlier this morning. 2.0 kicking up near Willowick, Ohio. 7.6 kilometers for the earthquake there. But kind of the big picture out here into the west coast, Northern California. There is some activity kicking up along the Bartlett Springs area. This is a coastal range fault system out here. East of the plate boundary, which is the San Andreas Fault. And have seen a swarm of movement up here along the southern end of the Cascadia subduction zone. It's been pretty active out here, pretty far as recent activity goes. Let's go ahead and check out the tremor activity real quick while we're on the subject of the deeper movement. And still looking like a little bit of tremor into the southern Oregon area. Just looks like underneath Medford and the Grants Pass area. 23 epicenters there into the southern end of the Cascadia subduction zone. So kind of keep an eye on this area. No doubt movement is on the increase. And I was reading a couple articles here recently about the potential of a Cascadia megathrust possibility. And it's up there around a 30-40% chance of seeing a major rupture here along the Cascadia subduction zone over the next, I think they mentioned 50 years. So it's not really necessarily a major number, but the possibility is there. You got to think about the last major rupture here along the Cascadia, 1700. So what has happened since 1700? A whole lot, of course, in history books, but also accumulated stress here along this major subduction zone known as the Cascadia subduction zone. So a lot is building up here, and a lot will be released when it's time. Nobody knows the time when this will pop, obviously, but the 9.0 or greater earthquake will produce a 100-foot high tsunami, or possibly higher, into the areas of Oregon, Washington, and Northern California. I would not want to be in this area when this baby pops, but the potential there is a major possibility. So who knows when it's going to happen? We can look at signs as humans. We kind of look at patterns and signs and signals and whatnot, right? We kind of look at that, but we don't really know. All I know is for sure that we haven't seen a whole lot of tremor in recent times, at least far as the past couple months goes, in the area of the Cascadia subduction zone. So it's kind of getting at me right now. I'm kind of wondering about what's going on. And if you look back at the years, since about 2010 or so, 2010 looked pretty quiet. We had an extended period of quietness along the Cascadia, and then things really upticked in the end of 2010 towards 2011 when we seen that 9.0 earthquake in Japan. And then things kind of calmed down a little bit and then ramped back up. And you can see that over the years here, things have really ramped up, and we've had quiet spells in between. But I don't know. I think the quiet spell that we're seeing right now could be pointing towards possibly some larger earthquake activity along the western part over here around the Japan area. I mean, I think something's really brewing here, pretty much in this plate boundary right here, northward into the end of the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench. Hey, normally I can spit that out pretty good. But yeah, it's been all too quiet. These are major accumulated stress areas in the subduction zone, not only over here, but into the area of the Cascadia. And I'm thinking one of these have to go pretty soon. It's looking pretty possible. It's just been all too quiet here along this area. It's just It's got me a little bit on the nervous side, so we will watch this pretty closely. Yellowstone activity, we'll go ahead and check that out. Did view the certificate and the error that I was receiving earlier on the potential hacking of this site, and it looks like their certificate expired like maybe 2 or 3 days ago, but it is working now, and everything looks okay to visit this site. It's called isthisthingon.org, but if your browser is giving you a warning and you don't feel safe about visiting this site, then don't do it. But I think I've been visiting the site for quite a few years. It's pretty much an overview of Yellowstone seismograph stations here in the park. It's a pretty cool overview. I appreciate these folks. I've donated to them quite a few times, and I would hope that these folks are not doing anything that would be in violation of any type of privacy laws. Some earthquake activity around the Madison River. You can see it localized right here in the well-defined spikes over the past 24 hours. It looks like some type of mechanical or geyser activity occurring within that area, Madison River. All other areas look pretty quiet when it comes to earthquake activity. Solar weather was ramping up. I did see some heightened solar weather activity here. Looks like we had an M flare kick off with a pretty good CME, it looks like, possible in the M1.1 range. Just kicked off over the past couple hours. Looking at 10% chance, elevated 10% chance of a X flare, 90% chance, of course, of C flare, 40% chance of an X flare. Elevated activity ramping up, obviously, from this major sunspot 2936. It's looking pretty awesome, folks. That's the word I like to use is pretty gnarly. 2936 is looking like a real sunspot. None of these little rinky-dink diminishing type of sunspots. This is kind of like the real deal here when it comes to producing a major flare. Where'd it go? Let's go back. So we need to pay close attention to 2936 with the possibility of seeing an X flare in that mix of that. The dynamics are pretty awesome. Look at that. We're looking at some pretty awesome details of sunspot activity. That's huge. 2936 may be popping up an X flare here pretty soon. So stay alert, stay awake, and make sure you guys just be prepared. There's a lot of stuff going on out here in the world, and we will continue to provide updates and videos here on the channel. Live stream is running successful. I did drop the stream down from 4K to 2.7K. It's simply a test to see what happens. I've been having all sorts of issues here with the stream when it comes to somehow magically being disconnected, and all sorts of errors going on here with the YouTube stream. So it's a little test here with the 2.7K resolution. We'll see what happens. I mean, we don't have any spectacular graphics when it comes to having to run in 4K. So if we run in 2.7K, it's pretty sufficient when it comes to everyone's standard and quality. And we'll see how it goes. Just a little test. All I know is I'm getting tired of everything going down for some reason. So we'll see what it goes, right? Kind of playing the game. See if this is successful. All right, guys, we're going to jump off here and enjoy the rest of the evening here with Missy Mimi's. Got a pretty good bonfire going out in the field. I don't know, it's probably 30 or 40 foot high fire flame from some wood and old branches and whatnot through the winter that we're burning out here in the field. And it's pretty cool, keeping us warm and nice and toasty out here on this Saturday evening. So, all right, guys, have a good night. Stay safe out there. Make sure you subscribe. We're on our way to our 75K giveaway. You guys can make it possible by subscribing, and also making sure your friends subscribe to the channel, and of course, obviously, sharing this platform here on the YouTube channel and this video with your friends and whatnot, so we can get there to 75K. Hopefully that will happen before the summer. All right, guys, have a good night. Stay safe out there. We will chat you a little bit later. Peace out.